This video is sponsored by AFK Arena. Attention all Phantom Thieves! Attention all Phantom Thieves! Persona 5 is having a brand new collaboration with AFK Arena that you can get involved with right now.
For real?
Yes, Ryuji, I'm being deadly serious. AFK,
For real?
Yeah, I just told you, it's really happening, Ryuji. It's
For real?
Yes! It's for real, Ryuji!
For real?
That's right, AFK Arena have just added 2 hot new characters into their roster, and with the iconic Persona 5 art style along with the fresco painting-like character designs of AFK Arena, this is one of the most unique collaborations you can find. If you didn't know, AFK Arena is a free-to-play RPG on your mobile. It's one of the only rewarding RPGs I can play during my busiest times thanks to its idle mechanics. You can level up and collect resources even if you're AFK. You only need to check your team from time to time to reap the rewards, but it has enough strategic gameplay to appeal to both casual and serious players. They've done plenty of collaborations with other games and anime, from things like Assassin's Creed to Overlord, and Persona 5 is just the latest in a long line of cool collaborations. If you download right now, you can try out Joker and Queen for free for 3 days. And if you want them, there are ways to redeem the heroes for free, or you can just purchase a bundle to get them. Use code Persona 5 for 500 diamonds, 500 hero essence, and 500k gold, and code HAPPY2021 for 30 free faction scrolls. If this has caught your interest and stolen your heart, then you can click the link in the description to download AFK today on iOS and Android. And with that said, let's get on with the video. I'm just gonna throw out the elephant in the room to get it over with. You know it, I know it. 2020 was just the Game of Thrones Season 8 of years. Somehow, the scriptwriters managed to make this an unending barrage of nightmarish plot twists even M. Night Shyamalan couldn't see fucking coming, while also making it feel like the most boring filler arc of my life. But hey, at least we had anime. Kind of. I'll be honest, I've been marathoning through as much anime as I could for the past month, trying to catch up with the year, but even then, I've watched way less than I usually would. I don't think I have enough to talk about the best of each respective categories like I usually would, so instead, I'm just gonna revert back to some old school YouTube clickbait and do my top anime I've seen this year. Before we get to that though, here's a quick rundown of all the other things I wanted to talk about that happened this year. Studio Passion started 2020 by drawing the line between hentai and anime with invisible ink. Interspecies Reviewers just straight up aired a hentai scene, which I constantly have to remind people happened earlier in the year, not in 1947. A revolution was started against Mao. Funimation yeeted out faster than you could say Oni-chan, my hips are moving by themselves. The anime community was ablaze, and in between all this, Interspecies Reviewers actually aired. Honestly, despite how many boundaries this pushed and how explicit it was, I really found this to be a funny comedy that was just me and the boys hang out in a hentai, made for degenerates by degenerates. It was just a genuinely good laugh, meaning this was one of the first ever hentai you could watch purely for academic purposes. Wait a minute. Aside from the usual best girl debates, for once we have several contenders for worst girl of the year. In one corner, we have Rachel from Tower of God, and in the other, Mami from Rent-A-Girlfriend. And I mean, what can you say about the competition? Rachel was a character that felt entitled while happily taking advantage of the people around her to reach her goal, but in the moments that really mattered, spat on everything she was given, giving the biggest middle finger any anime character has given in years. And even further in the webtoons, she continues down this path, literally ruining lives and becoming one of the most truly decrepit and vile female characters I've ever had the displeasure of experiencing. But on the other hand, Mami did lead some guy on. Twitter decided it was now illegal for anyone below 5'3" to possess breasts. Beastar's recent success on Netflix really changed a lot of perception when it came to 3D anime, and I'm sure Netflix was sitting there like, damn, we want more of this.
The hell?
I honestly don't know what world I'm in where this is a real scene from Ghost in the Shell and not some Benny Hill's Looney Tunes skit, but at least they're carrying on the Ghost in the Shell spirit, tackling deep themes of technological existentialism in episodes like Edgelord, the revolution of the 14-year-olds. I repeat, Edgelord, the revolution of the 14-year-olds, which I assure you is an actual GITS episode and not a rejected PewDiePie video. I can't wait for season 2 when we get standalone complex episode 19, Virgin Army, Revenge of the PogChamps. Here's an exclusive clip I just received now.
Oops.
Japan Sinks was an absolute fucking trip and probably the hardest I laughed at any anime this year, but probably for the wrong reasons. Anime rapper Eminem, Japan Sinks? More like Japan stink. I honestly feel like there was a big hole this year in terms of anime fights. Normally some of the biggest moments in the year of anime are defined by some of its biggest fights, and this year just felt like we didn't have too many to pick from. Probably my biggest disappointment was God of High School, which somehow did the impossible and made me not care about the tournament arc. How the fuck do you do that, God of High School? Call it a poor adaptation, rush pacing, bland plot or characters, but this was the one show I really wanted to love, but couldn't. As hard as I tried, I just couldn't get invested in it, and it hurts me showing these clips because I can't think of another time I got to see such beautifully animated and intense fight sequences that I couldn't give less a shit about. Watching this show felt like watching the grown-up version of those fucking stick figure fighting Flash videos I thought were the shit as a kid. I honestly feel the best way to enjoy this anime is just to watch the fight sequences out of context on YouTube because you'd get the same amount of enjoyment. But yeah, it's still up there as some of the best fights of the year for just how technically impressive they were. But then, in that sense, the best anime fights I saw this year wasn't even from an anime. The legendary team that worked on the Naruto and Sasuke vs Momoshiki fight randomly showed up in a Chinese anime and just casually flexed on everyone by showcasing one of the best animated sequences in all of 2020. Starting things off with a high-intensity free-running scene that absolutely dropped my jaw on the floor, it then proceeds to transition into an insane 1v3 hand-to-hand martial arts brawl that is absolutely dripping in style and swagger. I mean, just look how fucking cool this is! You got all this fancy footwork, the absolute bravado of these exchanges, and then he has the fucking audacity to just grab his hat mid-air after dodging. Oh god, it's so cool! You can tell the team have a genuine passion for martial arts in both real life and on film because it doesn't seem like anyone is even close to touching them when it comes to raw fight choreography. This wasn't just cool for an anime fight, this was just a badass martial arts fight, period. The show is Hitori no Shita, the Outcast, by the way. Alright, let's get down to brass taxes. When you hear about a show that starts off with a guy getting hit with a truck that ends on one of my favorite anime of the year lists, I'm sure everyone's first thought is, oh great, another shitty isekai, Giguk staying on brand as usual. But rest assured, Tonikawa Over the Moon for You is the furthest thing you'd expect me to like. A short, sweet, cute, wholesome story about a simple domestic romance. Wait. In the modern times of anime titties dominating your timeline, anime and hentai deciding it's one and the same, and the world being taken over with degeneracy, it's refreshing to finally see a nice Christian anime with nice Christian values. Tonikawa is the rehabilitation needed for all of those who have once been put into horny jail. It's all of us. There's no complicated dramas, no love triangles, no relationships that need to be prefaced that they're not related by blood, just a story of an actual, decent, responsible human being falling in love with one of the few waifus in anime that, is actually a waifu. Watching Tonikawa is like taking that bath after a long day at work. You feel like your soul is cleansed whenever you finish an episode. It'll cure your depression, then give it right back to you when you remember that you'll never get a relationship like this.
What'd you say?
Anyway, watch Tonikawa. It's cute. Yeah, Kaguya-sama is still good. Ever since my last video about Index and Railgun over 2 years ago, your boy's been pretty quiet about the franchise as a whole, and, well, that's because when JC Staff adapts an anime, God flips a coin. Would it land heads like for the Konosuba movie? Or would it land tails like for One Punch Man 2, the clusterfuck of Index 3, or the underwhelming Accelerator? Damn, that's a lot of tails. But for some unknown reason science still hasn't been able to solve, whenever they touch anything related to Railgun, it is nothing but heads, heads, and heads. Railgun somehow continues to be far and beyond the best thing the franchise has going for it when it comes to the anime, which kinda makes sense. With the Index series having a far greater plot, juggling a bigger cast, squeezing way more story arcs into a single season, it's no wonder that the more focused world of Railgun means the spin-off series outshines the mainline. And, well, it seems like JC Staff knew this too, because unlike their other recent adaptations, this is the best the franchise has looked since, well, Railgun. The great animation is back, we have a more down-to-earth story, it's got all the level 5s going at it. This is everything Toaru fans could hope for. Not forgetting, it's nice to see the return of everyone's favorite character, CGI wind turbines, baby, oh yeah! I always feel a bit sheep for putting a hot new shonen on the top of my favorites list because to me it kind of feels like I'm saying, yes, I too enjoy vanilla ice cream, eating white bread and saying Rem is my waifu. But my god, when a show is doing something right, it is doing something right. Watching this first cour of Jujutsu Kaisen kind of felt like you discovered that YouTube channel under 10,000 subscribers that you knew was just waiting to blow up. It's a shonen that isn't afraid to wear its influence on its sleeves, but is confident enough in its own abilities to still give you a fresh experience. And it does. You can see the groundwork being laid for a truly amazing show because it just seems to have everything going for it. The characters are fresh and likable, the fights have a nice balance between interesting power systems and just pure animation flexing. Gojo's eyes make me question my sexuality as much as Astolfo's dick, and it has an ending that slaps harder than my dad's belt. I feel like it's just waiting for that one big moment, that one big fight to truly take it up to the big leagues, because with Demon Slayer coming back this year from literally kicking everyone's ass, Jesus fucking Christ, 54 million? The sales gap could part the Red Sea. I can't wait to see if Jujutsu Kaisen is also going to be eating at the big boys table in time. Like, what is it now? Big 3? Big 5? Big 7? How many more are you going to give us, Shonen Jump? This year, the Domestic Girlfriend manga ended and it left a massive hole in my heart. Where was I going to get my fix of a car crash-filled romance story now? How could anything fill the gap this masterpiece had left? Would I finally get some good taste in anime? Luckily, Rent-a-Girlfriend started airing and it all went tumbling down again. This, unironically, became the show I was most excited to catch up to every week. Yes, fuck you, I was more excited for this romance than Kaguya. What can I say? You can take the man out of the trash, but you can't take the trash out of the man. It's another romance anime that follows the formula by the book, but sometimes you just find a show that contains every stupid eye-rolling cliche you've ever complained about, but somehow it balances them all in a way that just works. I don't know what it is about seeing people going through a train wreck of a romance situation that's just so addicting to watch.
You know what I did? I went on Grindr, and dude, I was a hit on Grindr, by the way. I was a hit on Grindr almost instantly. But then I literally saw my dad.
Rent-a-Girlfriend was just that perfect kind of a train wreck. It may not be highbrow entertainment, but it knows how to keep you watching. You may be infuriated watching this living bruh moment in action. You may be screaming at the screen for him to leave his hoe on the streets. You may want to buy this guy a fucking pint for just telling it how it is, but by God, you just gotta click on the next episode for this morbid curiosity just to see how many more L's a single man can take.
しょうがないよね。童貞だもんね。発想が違うよね。
Jesus Christ. Hello? Yes? I'd like to report a fucking murder. Also, when was the last time we had clear candidates for both Best and Worst Girl of the Year in one show? I've already talked enough about the waifu masterpiece that is Chizuru, but I'm equally impressed at how good a job they did at creating the most detestable serpent of a human in Mami. Everything she does makes me want to drop a C-bomb so hard, I'd get an honorary citizenship to Australia.
All that vocal fry.
What a
everything
cunt.
And it hurts me that for some reason, I still see people who think Mami is alright, and I genuinely don't know if they're just trolling or if I've just interacted with a psychopath. Like, come on guys, you're joking. You gotta be joking, right? There's no way you're not joking. They say a good salesman can sell ice to Eskimos, and here Rent-a-Girlfriend is casually selling trash to garbage men.
What a cunt.
I have this really strange addiction on YouTube about watching videos on subjects I have absolutely no knowledge in, because beyond finding content centered around my hobbies, I find it fascinating watching passionate people present their interests, because sometimes a bit of that passion can rub off onto you. There's just something magical about watching people do the things they love, and this is exactly how I felt watching Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken. Masaki Yuasa essentially just made a 12-episode personal love letter to animation, and you can feel that passion bleed through every single frame of this show. Eizouken was so strongly imbued with such an overwhelming excitement for the art form that it was infectious, even if you had zero interest in it. You don't need to have ever tried making an anime, because anyone who's worked on something creative, I'm sure, has a little bit of all three of the girls fighting inside you whenever you work on a new project. The one who thinks up wild ideas you may or may not actually be able to do, the one who wants the project to be perfect and won't settle for anything less, and the one who has resting bruh face. The constant struggle of having a vision you want to be realized versus the practicality of achieving it in a reasonable time frame while also not forgetting the economics of labor was something I deeply related to, but what really shines through is Yuasa's pure love for animation. There's this episode where one of the girls sees her grandma throwing tea, and something about the way it looked fascinates her. She does it again and again, over and over, cleaning up and throwing more tea, trying to recreate every little detail, every little movement, until eventually this random childhood story would be translated into an animation cut that would appear in their anime for less than a second. Yet, somehow, this one little meaningless cut conveyed a sense of personal love that struck a deep chord with me. If there was something magical about the art of animation, Yuasa definitely showcased it here. After 2019's adaptation of Attack on Titan and Vinland Saga, watching Great Pretender made me wonder if Studio Wit should be reported for aimbotting, because right now, these motherfuckers just don't miss. The heist genre is something we don't normally see in anime aside from Lupin the Third and, well, that's about it. But I am not overstating it when I say Great Pretender is the greatest heist anime since Lupin the Third. Only big statements here. Following a group of professional swindlers who are like the modern day Robin Hoods, except they steal from the rich and give to themselves. This felt like a truly AAA anime production. The unique genres, the gorgeous color palettes, and allowing me to officially say that Freddie Mercury is in an anime OST. But most of all, it was refreshing to have an anime that truly felt international. Not only did we get a wider range of settings globally from LA, London, Shanghai, France, Singapore, and Tokyo, hustling drugs, hustling gambling, hustling world famous paintings from painters everyone's heard about,
Da Vinci?
but the worldwide feeling was reflected in the characters themselves. Way more attention to detail was given to the characters speaking different languages and how fluent they should actually sound, as opposed to most other shows where it just felt like they just got a random guy off the streets. Native voice actors were used to dub not only characters in their respective countries, but also the main cast too. It really looks like they used this medium to its full advantage to make it feel like these were truly well-traveled, multilingual characters, which can often be a challenge to pull off in movies.
They call him Samurai. He speaks fluent Japanese.
What does katana mean?
It means Japanese sword.
I was actually going to put this as my anime of the year until the last 2 episodes happened. Alright, this is going to be my only chance, so I really need to rant about this ending. So if you don't want to be spoiled, skip to the timestamp here, because I really need to get this off my chest. Alright, everyone good? Okay, so I know this is meant to be a fun show, not to be taken too seriously, but this ending took my suspension of disbelief, stretched it to bloody Narnia, and then shot into the fucking stratosphere. So somehow, they built an entire building in the middle of nowhere, and none of the marks didn't question the fact that they randomly passed out and sometimes woke up in a completely different vehicle. Dorothy was alive all this time, and now all their old targets who we've spent episodes building up to be fucking detestable shitbags are now all helping them and a buddy-buddy? Like, how the hell did they pull that off? Yes, I know we stole $100 million of you and completely ruined your life, but wanna help us out on this job? Well, what's in it for me? We'll put you on a boat where you can reminisce about the time you got scammed by us. Well, even though you're a group of con men who've lied and backstabbed me before, I see absolutely no reason I can't trust you. But worse than that, worse than all that, is they already had both targets drugged, unconscious, with their money in hand, which essentially made everything they did here fucking pointless. Like, I get there needed to be some kind of payback scheme other than just taking the money and running, but you're telling me they couldn't have thought of something a little simpler than contract an entire skyscraper to be built on a remote island and putting on a fucking soap opera Broadway show just so the marks can play Castaway for a few days? Just fucking kick one of them in the balls or something, man, and be done with it. Jesus! These guys are playing 5D interdimensional chess using a Ruby Goldberg machine when all they needed to do was walk a ball into a fucking open goal. Fuck it. There. Rant done. I don't know what it is about a lot of anime that Netflix licenses, but if I had to put it into words, they don't feel like you're eating a McDonald's chicken nugget. Dorohedoro just felt so insanely different from anything else I watched this year. If most anime was like taking a stroll down a bright city center, Dorohedoro was the homeless bum trying to stab you when you took the wrong turn in the back alley. It wasn't cutesy, it wasn't squeaky clean, it was a brutal psychedelic tour through anime's underbelly, and it was awesome. There's something so fascinating about being dropped into a world that doesn't follow any logic you're familiar with, and yet seems to function in a way that makes sense under the foundation it was constructed in. The world of Dorohedoro feels absolutely alien. There are sorcerers that can do magic because they have dust in their body. Our main character has a lizard head and another head inside his head. This man can turn everything around him into mushrooms, and the narrator smokes them. We even got Garguro preparing for her Hololive debut. Yet somehow all this makes sense under the insane logic of its own world. Seeing a universe function under its own twisted sense of coherency just made me want to learn more about it. Every episode was just a treat to see a new side of this world operate. It was unflinchingly brutal, yet didn't feel out of place when you saw a 9-foot talking cockroach wearing Air Jordans called Jordan almost kill a granddad because they're doing a Jun Maeda baseball episode. This was one of the most unique experiences you can find in 2020, and all I can say is season 2 better be around the corner, because 12 episodes was not nearly enough to contain the insanity that is Dorohedoro. Sometimes, when a massively hyped, high-profile sequel comes along years after the original aired, after a myriad of memes, discourse, merchandise, parodies, and spin-offs have warped your perception, it can be easy to forget why the franchise became so beloved in the first place. But all it took was a few minutes of the first episode before I instantly remembered. God damn. I fucking missed Re:Zero. It's a great feeling when a season 2 instantly lives up to the hype, but what's even better is when it takes those foundations and builds it into something greater. You want dying? You got more dying. You thought death scenes would become mundane just because Subaru got used to them? Let me introduce you to the Monty Python Rabbit. Oh, you liked Amelia? Boom. Amelia 2. Oh, you liked Rem? Rem 2. But what surprised me was just how much better we ended up understanding Subaru. He was no longer just an isekai protagonist. He was no longer just a deconstruction of an isekai protagonist. He was a relatable, surprisingly self-aware lad thrown headfirst into a situation way out of his depth. Out of every show on this list, it was the only one that really gave me moments I felt I was going to remember. Those moments in anime that hit that perfect crescendo and leave you in a state of shock, awe, amazement, or sometimes tears. These are the moments that reminds me why I fucking love anime, and somehow it felt like Re:Zero was able to do this on a weekly basis. Cause those moments were the big feeling I feel was missing from the anime this year. If I had to add one big asterisk to this, is that it feels weird crowning this as my anime of the year, cause, well, it isn't even finished yet. It's not like Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 1, because unlike something like that, we are right in the middle of a story arc, but I had to pick it because I didn't feel like I had any other choice. Alright, let's be real for a second. Last year I said that picking the anime of the year was the hardest in a very long time, but honestly, this year was almost equally as hard. For the completely opposite reason. You may notice this year I'm not doing one of my coveted Anime in 2020 yearly reviews, and that's because to me, those videos always felt like a celebration that put a personal full stop on my year of anime. But this year, it just wasn't something I felt like celebrating. Obviously, I don't think anyone feels like celebrating the year of 2020 in general, but I also genuinely think that anime as a whole just wasn't very exciting this year. Don't get me wrong, there were good shows and I enjoyed every anime on this list, but it felt weird calling any of these a proper anime of the year contender. Some were unfinished or felt more like a setup season, some dropped the ball crossing the finish line, and some were missing that X factor to truly leave a special impression. Cause whenever I reflect on a year, I think back to the moments, and aside from Re:Zero, there were hardly any moments this year that reminded me why I love being an anime fan. Compared to last year when we had the Demon Slayer episode that broke the internet, Vinland Saga's ending, Mob Psycho's jaw-dropping fights, 7-page Muda, Isabel's song, Stone Age Lightbulb, or pretty much every moment from Attack on Titan, I don't know what moments in this year I'm even going to remember. And I don't feel like I'm alone in this. Being an anime fan was weird this year because it seemed like there was the least discussion and hype for the medium that I can remember for a long time. But that doesn't mean we were talking about nothing, because if I were to crown my actual anime of the year, it would probably be this.
Nothing beats a ground pound. I am Please don't try to drink my chitty milk.
2020 may not have had a single anime stamp its mark on the year, but when we look back, we are going to remember this year as the rise of VTubers. And yeah, I know this is a complete cop-out because this ain't an anime, but let's be honest. This is what a lot of us anime fans ended up watching, and it would feel wrong to admit them when reflecting back at this year for us weebs. In a time when the entire world had more free time to consume content than ever before, a time when new anime just wasn't up to par, a time that couldn't be more perfect for every anime fan to finally make a dent in their godforsaken plan to watch lists. Did we do it? Nah, let's watch a bunch of anime girls saying fuck. The bottomless pit that was the VTuber rabbit hole came along and swallowed us all into its endless abyss, pitting us in the battle of the century. On one hand, you had a lifetime of careful financial decisions and proper money management drilled into us over years of common sense, versus some virtual pixels reciting 1/26 of an alphabet. Guys, it wasn't even close. And I think what this really cemented was the birth of a proper subculture within the anime fandom. VTubers, gacha games, manga readers, web and light novel readers. I know a lot of people who call themselves anime fans who kept up closely with the culture while hardly watching any anime. I think the best way I can put this is that this was the year where being a weeb was something distinguishable from being an anime fan. Cause while every weeb might be or has been an anime fan, not every anime fan is a weeb. Yet. 2020 may go down as one of the worst years in history, but thank God for the virtual anime characters that made our days a little less depressing. The future is bright. The future is hopeful. The future is cute. Anime girls. And boys. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
ありがとうございました。Woo! Yay! Yahoo! Woo!
Hey guys, happy late new year and hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you again to AFK Arena for sponsoring me today. If you want to give their Persona 5 collaboration a go, then just click the link in the description to download it today. And also, thank you very much to Elifal, Basil, Mike Elfen, Payne Patchett, Walto, and everyone else on my Patreon for helping to support me for this month. So, like I said in my last video, I've been working to try and get ahead on work so I can actually have a schedule. And, well, so far so good. I'll be aiming for a minimum of 2 videos a month with some extras here and there. Not a huge increase, I know, but it's better than the 1 video a month I was doing for the previous months before this. Right now you can expect my winter seasonal video to come at the end of the month, so yeah, we'll see how long the schedule can last. I can't wait to eat my words at the end of this year. Or this month. Anyway, that's it from me for today. I've been Giguk, and I will see you all next time.